In honor of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX's 20th year anniversary remaster, I wanted to revisit the series and talk about one of my favorite antagonists, Chazz Princeton. So like all of my previous videos, I'm going to be talking exclusively about the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX English dub. And the English dub is peak, and Chazz Princeton is way better than his Japanese counterpart, Jun Manjime. Yeah, I said it, but Chazz always stood out to me. He was the ideal antagonist for me. He was cocky, arrogant, and always looked down on others. But he was hilarious doing it. Chazz has some of my favorite quips and jokes in the entire series, and his dialogue never once ceased to make me laugh.
When they said that you hit puberty, that was a rumor. Rule number 1, never interrupt the Chazz when he's in the middle of a long monologue. Where's your duel disc anyway?
Who needs a dual disc when you have this?
You realize that's a table, don't you? You know, I'm not afraid to get this outfit dirty. I've got 3 more. They'll all be dressed in white soon enough, but they won't look as good as me.
And as the series progresses, he actually forms a friendship with Jaden and the rest of the cast. But at the beginning of the series, Chazz was Jaden's #1 op, self-proclaimed of course. And in the second episode, Chazz and Jaden actually have a duel where it gets cut off a little too early. But it was revealed then that Jaden was actually going to win and beat Chazz if the duel wasn't stopped. But of course, the Chazz does not know that he was going to lose to Jaden, and he is still itching for his rematch with him. They do end up dueling very soon after that, and Crowler has provided Chazz with a number of rare and powerful cards, so Chazz's victory should be in the bag. But unfortunately, Chazz loses to Jaden, proving once and for all that Jaden is the better duelist. And to add insult to injury, he also loses to Bastion Misawa. So before this match, we see a backstory on Chazz's family. The Princeton group is a conglomerate, and they are one of the richest families in the world. And Chazz has 2 older brothers that say in order to dominate the world, you need 3 things: business, politics, and card games for some reason. Now, the older brothers have business and politics down, but they are relying on Chazz to take over the world of Duel Monsters. Before their match, Dr. Crowler said that
you will duel Bastion Misawa, and if you lose to him as well, you two will switch dorms.
You mean I'd become a raw yellow duelist?
Yes, very good.
And Chazz, so desperate to keep his Obelisk Blue status, he actually trashes Bastion's original deck. Bastion has 6 other decks prepared and uses one of them to defeat Chazz. And after Chazz loses, instead of just taking the demotion, he crashes out and leaves Duel Academy, which is the dramatic flair I need in my life. He ends up on a boat going anywhere but Duel Academy and meets a mysterious man who gives him the iconic Ojama yellow card. And this card single-handedly shapes Chazz's character journey going forward. It's the first dual spirit that Chazz is ever able to see, and then allows him to see other dual spirits in the world. So after this mysterious man gives Chazz Ojama yellow, he kicks him out of a submarine and drops Chazz off at North Academy. And for some reason, Chazz cannot get into North Academy without at least 40 cards for his deck. So his only option is to scavenge around the tundra to find randomly hidden cards in the most dangerous places imaginable. And in true Chazz fashion, he beats the top-ranking duelist at North Academy and takes over the school. And my favorite thing about Chazz is he could have stayed at North Academy and graduated and then gone pro after graduating from North Academy. But his ego won't allow it, and the first chance he gets, he comes back to Duel Academy. He is here to compete in the cross-duel school with North Academy versus Duel Academy, and Jaden is chosen to represent Duel Academy. And if that wasn't dramatic enough, Chazz's brothers get wind that this duel is happening and show up with a whole media crew to broadcast the duel around the world. And Chazz is feeling the pressure from his older brothers. For their master plan to succeed, they need Chazz to be a pro-level duelist, and they even provide Chazz with a lot of rare cards. But Chazz really showed his character here and refused to use those cards in his duel against Jaden. He wanted to beat Jaden fair and square, which is admirable, especially when you consider the fact that Chazz already did this once before when he took the rare cards from Crowler in their second duel. Now, this is a lot of pressure to put on a 15-year-old kid, and Chazz is feeling every ounce of it. And Jaden overhears Chazz in the locker room having a breakdown, and then decides to show no mercy and just beat the crap out of Chazz. And don't get me wrong, it was a very good duel. Chazz had a lot of strong cards that he got from North Academy, but of course, it's not enough to beat the main protagonist. But this arc wasn't a wash for Chazz. This arc gave birth to the best catchphrase in GX, even taking over Get Your Game On.
And I'm here to Chazz it up! That's right, say it again! Chazz it up!
When I first heard Chazz it up, I felt like angels were singing in my ear. I believed in the goodness of humanity, and I was actually hopeful for the future. And at the end of this duel, Chazz's brothers were about to jump Chazz until Jaden and everybody else stood up for him and got Chazz's brothers to back down. But Chazz's efforts did not go unnoticed, as both North Academy and Duel Academy saw how cool Chazz really was. And then the entire student population started to chant Chazz it up. And Chazz decided not to go back to North Academy and to stay at Duel Academy. But since he technically did leave the school, he had to rejoin at the bottom of the barrel as a Slifer Red, which is Chazz's worst nightmare because now he will see Jaden 24/7. But this is the part of the story I really like. In the original Yu-Gi-Oh, we never really got to see Kaiba actually become friends with Yugi. They were kind of pseudo-friends, but he always did his own thing. But in GX, they actually flipped that dynamic where Chazz actually becomes friends with Jaden, whether he wants to admit it or not. And I really like the tsundere act he plays because he keeps calling Jaden a Slifer Slacker, even though technically he himself is a Slifer Slacker. And I love this new era of Chazz as he's become a lot more laid back and fun. He used to be snobby and have a superiority complex, but at this point, he's really just chilling and along for the ride, and is more seen as a friend than a rival. And I don't really think that's a bad thing, especially for my enjoyment of the character. There's a whole arc where Chazz just develops feelings for Alexis and will not take no for an answer, and to be honest, it's comedic gold. And that becomes a running joke throughout GX, and honestly, who could blame him? Because look at Alexis.
おや、気づきましたか。陸殿も好き者にござるな。
Nice.
And one thing I really like about the series is they give Chazz some level of importance. At the end of season 1, when the Shadow Riders arrive, Chancellor Shepard has to select the best duelist at the school to protect the 7 spirit keys, and Chazz is selected as one of these duelists. And it's really cool to see that Chazz is considered to be one of the best duelists in the series so far. And during this arc, we get even more redemption for Chazz as a character. His older brothers are trying to buy out Duel Academy and close it for good, but Kaiba gave Chazz a fighting chance. He said that you have to duel one student, and you can use all the rare cards you want, but this student has to use a mediocre deck, and we will show you that dueling isn't just about money. It actually takes a lot of skill that you can't buy. And of course, Chazz is the duelist that they have selected. And it's in this duel that Chazz finally stands up to his older brothers and no longer cares about the Princeton name or what he was supposed to live up to. And he develops his own self-identity and his self-worth through this duel. And he obtains the other Ojama brother cards and creates the deck that he is known for today. And of course, as soon as he beats his older brother, the adoring public chants Chazz it up. And it's honestly a beautiful sight to behold. And at this moment, Chazz is kind of like a hero to Duel Academy, because if it wasn't for him, Duel Academy would be shut down. But obviously the Chazz was too strong and the show couldn't allow that. So he had to lose to Shadow Rider during the end of season 1. And I really love how the show did not sideline Chazz's character, and he was very prominent in seasons 2 and 3. In season 2, he's the first person to be brainwashed by the Society of Light and acts as an ambassador for Sartorius and preaches the good word of the Society of Light. And honestly, him being the only member of the Society of Light leads to some of the most comedic moments of the entire series. I love just watching this man go completely insane. It's like when you see a guy on the subway just talking to himself. That's basically how Chazz was for a majority of this season. And the Chazz actually started to move the plot forward and started taking out a lot of Duel Academy students, converting them to the Society of Light. And while he was a part of the Society of Light, he completely abandoned his Ojama deck. And his Ojamas were so sad they had no choice but to turn to Jaden. And during their duel, Chazz became the first person to break out of the Society of Light's control.
Get these ridiculous clothes off me! Yeah! There we go. Like I always say, if it can't hide the dirt, then I don't want it over my shirt. Actually, I just made that up. Man, I love that smell.
And he even uses his own Ojamas to destroy the card that was given to him by Sartorius. And in doing so, he loses the duel. But I actually respect Chazz a lot for doing it because it symbolizes him completely severing ties with Sartorius. Chazz then tries to right the wrongs he committed by defeating members of the Society of Light, thus freeing them from their brainwash. And while everybody else is trying to take down Sartorius, Duel Academy hosts a GX tournament where all these duelists from around the world come to compete. And since Jaden, Zane, Alexis, and a lot of other people aren't really competing too much, Chazz just sweeps the competition and wins his first real tournament. But unfortunately for seasons 3 and 4, he kind of gets sidelined a little bit. He's not really a main character in those seasons, but he's still a lovable idiot and still has some of the best dialogue in the show.
Ready, Deke? Time to get chazzed! Hold that thought. Before you chazz me, watch this. I reveal 2 of my face downs. But how? Easy. I just call out their names dramatically and they pop up. Haven't you played this game before? Because it's a pretty common occurrence.
He also ends up getting possessed by Yubel and a sacrifice for super polymerization, but we don't need to go into all that. Season 4 though is really interesting because everybody is a senior now and is thinking towards the future. And Chazz of course still wants to be a pro duelist, but he hasn't gotten any offers from any real scouts or teams. So he begs Aster Phoenix for help, and Aster's company wants to hire Chazz but as a comedy duelist who loses on purpose. And honestly, it's really embarrassing to see Chazz dress up in an Ojama yellow costume and just lose on purpose. But Chazz is doing anything he can to secure a future as a pro duelist. But there is only so much that the Chazz can take before he snaps. And he decides his self-worth is more important than the job Aster Phoenix gave him. And he gives up his biggest opportunity at getting into the pro leagues by taking off the suit and taking himself seriously as a dueling prospect. And he even duels Aster Phoenix and wins, which is incredible, considering that Pegasus said that Aster is one of the best duelists he has ever seen, listing him with the likes of Yugimoto, Joey Wheeler, and even Seto Kaiba. So him winning against a guy like Aster really shows that Chazz belongs in the world of the pros. And then at the end of the series, when Jaden takes off before graduation, all of Jaden's friends write him a note, and of course, front and center is Chazz. And even though he acts like he doesn't care, Chazz actually has one of the biggest hearts in the whole series. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys love Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.